It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast. After a rare Giant win, thankfully today they played the right team because this was a brutal game between two terrible football teams. I mean, let's be honest. Ron Rivera is a class act, was as a player, is as a coach. He's coaching his final days in Washington. If there was any fate to be sealed, and I don't think there was, it was sealed today. The Giants actually were trying to hold off a team that had turned the ball over on them 5 times in the game. I mean, I can't imagine a team in the NFL could lose being +6 in turnovers in one game. But remember, in the same game, the Giants allowed 9 sacks. Now, the Giants got 4 sacks and a ton of hurries, and it was their pass rush putting pressure on Hal, because when Hal got pressure, he threw the ball up for grabs 2 or 3 times, and those resulted in interceptions, including the one that sealed their fate in the final seconds. I don't think they were going to score anyway. Once they gave up that last timeout, I thought they were dead. But the bottom line is the Giants got a win. They got it because they were a little more inventive in their play calling. Let's be honest. They played against the worst secondary in the world today, and they did a terrible good job covering anybody with a Giant uniform, especially Barkley. Now, if you're the Washington team today, who are you not going to let beat you? The one quality guy the Giants have lined up on the other side, and he beat them. I mean, that is who beat them today. He beat them with a tremendous performance as running the ball in the second half, his receiving, his big plays out of the backfield that resulted in 2 touchdowns. I mean, a huge game for Barkley, 83 yards rushing, 4 catches for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big play after big play. DeVito got the ball to Barkley. He got the ball to Slayton a couple of times. He did get sacked 9 times. Some of those were on him. A lot of them were on the offensive line. Remember, this is a Washington team that had 1 sack the last 3 weeks because of the fact they traded away both their premier pass rushers. Imagine if they were there today. I mean, they got 9 sacks as it was without anybody who could rush the quarterback. And they had 3 guys carted off the field during the game. But the Giants get a victory, and I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, I don't want the Giants to win any games. I mean, come on, we don't want to win any games. But listen, there were way too many games to play. The Giants have to try in these games. They're not going to win a whole lot of games. They're not going to win a whole lot of games playing the way they played today. They're not going to win a whole lot of games anyway. But the bottom line is they have to try and do the best they can. They did today. They got a W, and I'm sure they'll feel good about themselves because they did. So, congratulations to the coaching staff for getting a W. Congratulations to the defense for being aggressive. Congratulations to DeVito for getting a W and getting in the end zone a couple of times. And, fine. You move on to the next game. That's all you can do. You're playing out the string. You came to the game 2-8. Now you're 3-8. You're not going anywhere. We know that. But you try and have some pride. You beat the bad teams when you play them. And today they played a team that was bad and turned the ball over 6 times. I mean, think about those numbers. -6 in turnovers, Washington is, but they get 9 sacks. What a strange game this was today in every way. But like I said, if you watched it, and I did, and I don't know why I put myself through it, but the bottom line is the Giants found a way to beat a team that was worse than them today. And you know what? You move on and you take it. Case closed. That's the bottom line. In this league, you move on and you take it because that's what you do. I mean, that's what it's about. And if you're thinking that, the idea is to lose these games and you're not supposed to win them, and hey, you cannot play an entire second half of the season that way. It just doesn't work that way in this league. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. And it shouldn't, okay? No matter what happens to your season. And it's already been a very strange week. Now, I'll be back later after the Jet game, which is going to be pivotal today, and I think huge for both teams. But it's already been an incredible week when you think about it. The Bengals lose. They lose Burrow for the season. So for all intents and purposes, their season's over. They're not going to the playoffs, and they were a Super Bowl favorite. Now, Ravens lose Andrews for the season with a broken ankle. That's an enormous loss for them at tight end. Today, Jaguars get back on the winning track, fine. Cowboys win today as expected, fine. Dolphins win today, but Ashawn came back today, and they were really looking forward to coming back off IR. 1 carry, 1 reception, and a knee injury again. So how badly he's hurt, I don't know, but he was back for a cameo at best. That was it. But the Dolphins held off the Raiders. They didn't get an explosive game today, but they held them off. Now let's get to the games that were pivotal today. Number 1, Washington, as I said, goodbye to the head coach. Number 2, Chargers fall to the Packers. Packers play the Lions in a couple of days on Thanksgiving. That'll be the first game of the triple header on Thanksgiving. Chargers will have a new coach next year, and that is a prime job with the talent and the quarterback on hand. Now, huge win for the Lions today. And I know some of you wanted that cover late when they got the sack, and it looked like they were going to get a touchdown when they got a safety. They would have got a wild cover, considering they were down big in the game and needed 2 late touchdowns to pull it out of the fire. They did that. They wind up winning 31-26. Huge win for them. They're 8-2. They got the Packers on Thanksgiving. If they win that game, it's pushovers. If they win that game, they're 9-2, and their schedule, other than the game with the Cowboys, is by far the easiest of any of the contenders. They're looking at a 2 seed at worst and possibly an outside 1 seed, depending on how the Eagles handle these 5 games coming up, starting with the Chiefs tomorrow night. And then the Browns blow a 10-0 lead. Steelers look like they're going to win another one magically. And the Browns come back and win it 13-10. That's the score I picked for that game, believe it or not. But, that's just like you said, it's going to be a 13-10 game, which that's what I thought it would be. As what would you expect from those two? 16-13 would be like a, very explosive score for those two. 13-10, Browns win. Tough loss for the Steelers. But you know what? They're in every game, and they're going to probably fight enough to make it close to the playoffs. They've done it with mirrors so far. Browns, with that defense, the question is, now that Deshaun Watson, who wasn't playing real well anyway, is gone, can they get enough offense? Do they look elsewhere for a quarterback? Meaning, do they bring in an outsider? Or does Tannehill get cut and then make his way to Cleveland, which has been bandied about? I don't know how the league would feel about that, but it could happen. Or at least it's been discussed. Browns need a little firepower to go with this defense. That defense plays great at home. They're 7-3. They're ahead of the Steelers. They're ahead of the Bengals, who now don't have Burrow. They're thinking heavy playoffs, and they should be. But do they have enough offense to get the job done? Deshaun Watson gone. Obviously, their great running back long gone. But they continue to win. They continue to play great defense at home. And they're very tough to beat there, and they will be in December and January with that defense on the lake, in the cold, in the snow, in the freezing, windy rain. They will be very tough to beat. We'll see you after the Jet game.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.